meeting. Let's all stand together to say the pledge of allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Roman,
Here.
President Guy,
Here.
Vice President Costigan. Here. Mr. Bull. Absent. Mr. Powers. Absent. Mr. Sidlow. Here. Ms. Percival.
Here.
Mr. Swigert.
Here.
Mr. Wills.
Here.
Ms. Catania. Absent. Ms. Stillwell. Absent. Ms. Matagi. Mr. Karunkowitz.
Here.
Ms. Marks.
Here.
Chief Murray.
Here.
Oh, and here comes Ms. Catania.
Okay. Did everyone have a chance to look at the September special council meeting minutes? Are there any questions? Somebody make a motion.
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. And for the September regular monthly council meeting minutes, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept those minutes as well.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Is there any correspondence?
There's a few, and you and I did not talk about these beforehand, so I'm just
Okay.
telling you what I
I
have.
love surprises.
Good morning. I'm going to be moving to the area 10/6/23. I'm wondering if I would set up trash service through you or someone else. Any information would be greatly appreciated. I responded with an email and just told her when recycling was, when trash pickup was.
Excellent.
I have an email from Judith Saunders, President Guy and Councilman Bull. I was walking the woodlot and noticed that the problem with the railings on the fitness trail going up the steep hill have not been fixed yet. Is there any way someone could look at this before next weekend? I think that was sent to you as well, Madam President.
Okay. All right. I will ask Mr. Cornell to look at that.
I received another email from Teresa Wright with regards to the bed bug issue. I forwarded that to you
Okay.
to take a look at. I have two streetlight service requests that we got this month. One for pole 31 at 17 West Shelton, and the other one for pole 98 on East Shelton. Officer Young called me on Friday. The one, pole number 31 is not yet done. Pole 98 is. Not an email, but a phone call today about leaf pickup.
Okay.
Do we do it? Do we not do it? When is it? Do we have a schedule? I told the guy calling tomorrow and let him know.
We will do it. I'll go ahead and ask Ryan when he plans on doing that, and we'll get that posted.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Can I ask the secretary a question, please? Could you tell me from the time you started in June until current, how many evening appointments you have had? I would like to see if council's agreeable to going back to normal business hours with appointments only in the evenings for the secretary.
I've had 3 by appointment.
Okay,
No one has come in on a Tuesday night that I'm here, but I have made appointments for 3 different people.
then I would like to see council have the secretary go back to normal hours starting November 1st.
I'll defer to Mr. Platt on that. I accept your judgment on when you think the hours would be best.
My preference would be to do it by appointment.
Okay.
I just think it's smarter because if somebody needs to come in, maybe they can't get here Tuesday, but maybe they can get here Wednesday or Thursday, and if it means me running back to the office for a half hour, I'm not opposed to doing that, provided I don't have any other plan. But if I'm setting the appointment, I'll know what my plans
Right.
are.
Well, that's very generous of you. All right,
I just kind of,
make it so.
And are you currently a signer on our bank accounts? I know that was an issue.
no, we haven't done that yet, but actually, I was thinking about just going to the bank, taking the resolution, taking my photo ID to see if I can get myself out of it.
Thank you.
That's what I'm gonna try and see if that works. If not, then I'll need to take somebody with me.
Thank you.
I think you need to take everybody with you. That's the thing, like me and Doug.
No, we're gonna try it this way
Okay, do that.
first, and if not, you'll hear from me.
Try the path of least resistance
Yeah.
first, and, yeah.
All right, is that all for the secretary's report? Okay, Mayor?
Thank you. Crimes reported in September, there were 5. There was 1 assault, 3 thefts, and 1 unauthorized use of vehicle. Calls for service, there were 195. 8 medical, 5 suspicious persons. Building checks, there was 16. Assist other agencies, they were 35, and domestic, there were 5. Accidents, there were 4. Traffic detail, 21. Motor vehicle stops, 96. Traffic citations, 48. Warnings, 47. That's it.
Thank you very much. And now we have called citizens, agenda-related items only.
Many income. Anna, last month's meeting, you changed what you had said. You had told the fire company that if we agreed to the audit and everything, they would receive their check. Then after you had your executive meeting, you changed that, and when people tried to question, you didn't let them answer or question you about it. You just went right to the next subject. Why? You told, they did what you asked them to do. Why aren't they receiving their check yet?
I don't believe that we said that if they agreed to it.
Go back and look at the video. You did.
I don't believe we said if they agreed to it. I believe we said if they start turning over some documentation and showed a good faith effort to cooperate, then
And they have been. Am I correct?
I've gotten nothing. Have we gotten?
Because I know they've been in contact with the lawyer.
I have gotten no financial documents from them. The treasurer has not told us that she's received anything. So as far as I know, we have not received anything.
Well, I think they're mad because you backed out of your deal. You lied to everybody in this room because you are lying.
I don't
Thank
believe,
you.
I don't believe.
Thank you.
Council President.
Thank
Guy-
you.
Council President Guy made no deal with anybody.
She did. Right here on the floor, Scott. Go back and look at the video. Go look at
And I
August and
mean,
September.
I think the point should also be made that we made those funds available to the firehouse. So it's not like we were withholding funding from the
They
firehouse.
didn't get anything.
Well, we've
They-
asked them to give us bills
Right.
and that we would,
But it would take
That's
over
against-
3 weeks for the bills to get paid then, so then now we have a late fee. Because you don't pay your bills like we do. Firehouse pays their bills as they come in, because that's how we get the money. When the money comes in, they pay their bills. Well, I don't know what bills you want them, and they're afraid to give you bills because they're afraid you're gonna say, oh, we're not paying for that. And it is a firehouse thing.
I appreciate it.
I believe it's against their bylaws, and somebody from the fire company, if you're in the audience, can correct me. For anybody but the firehouse to pay their bills, they'd have to change their bylaws.
Correct.
I'd love to see their bylaws.
I can go get them for you right now. I'll be right
Actually,
back.
maybe you can check with Chief Leamy.
All right, anyone else for call to citizens? Okay, we will move on. I don't have a lot for the president's report. I just wanted to give a brief update as far as the fire company. Minnie gave me an opportunity to give some of it. It is my understanding that they have selected a new president. I am hoping that he and I can communicate and have conversations, and honestly, I'm looking forward to them giving us some bills so that we can help them to pay those and turn over those documents so that we can do the financial analysis. That is all I have on that, and then let's go ahead and do the zoning board.
Yes, as council is aware, presently exists multiple vacancies in the membership of the zoning hearing board as a result of the expiration of the terms of all of its members. The zoning hearing board consists of 3 residents of the municipality who are appointed by resolution pursuant to the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code. The terms of the zoning hearing board members are arranged or staggered so that the term of office of one member expires each year to preserve continuity. Borough Council engaged in a similar exercise last year when it appointed new members to staggered terms on the newly created Civil Service Commission. I have drafted a proposed resolution for council's consideration this evening that would in fact appoint 3 members to the zoning hearing board, again, with staggered terms, and also 2 possible alternates who would only serve in the event of an absence by a zoning hearing board member, which would preclude a quorum from occurring, and therefore disavow any potential action that the zoning hearing board could take if there is not a quorum. So that is something I had prepared, and if it is council's pleasure, a motion would be in order to adopt said resolution.
Do you want to read that or summarize it?
We'd be happy to read it, yes. Again, it is a resolution of the Borough of Parkside, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, appointing residents to fill vacancies on the zoning hearing board. Whereas there presently exist vacancies in the membership of the zoning hearing board as a result of the expiration of the terms of its members. And whereas there are presently no alternate members of the zoning hearing board qualified to fill such vacancies, and whereas Section 9, or strike that, Article 9, Section 903 of the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code authorizes the Borough Council to fill all vacancies in the membership of the zoning hearing board by appointing a qualified resident of the municipality by resolution. And whereas the Borough Council has determined that the following citizens are qualified candidates for the position and have expressed an interest to be appointed as a board member to fill the vacancies. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Parkside Council hereby appoints the following citizens to fill the existing vacancies on the Parkside Zoning Hearing Board with a term of office to expire as provided herein. And again, the 3 proposed members are Kate Gill with a term ending on December 31st of 2024, Kyle Palmer with a term ending on December 31st of 2025, Dina Sweeney with a term ending on December 31st of 2026, and 2 proposed alternates, Allison Giannakis, I believe. Giannakis, okay, with a term ending on December 31st of 2025, and Matt Saunders with a term ending on December 31st of 2026. So that is the proposed ordinance before council for their consideration.
Resolution.
Resolution, yes.
I make that motion.
Second.
Any questions?
Yes. Since all of council did not have an opportunity to discuss these members, I would like Kylie Palmer removed since she is a political head of a party here in the borough. And the zoning board should be nonpartisan, and I object to this.
Actually, I appreciate your objection, but I'll point out that the other two members that we've put on are both registered Republicans and, in fact, also, I don't know actually about the alternates, but it's really a nonpartisan thing. It's based on who
Ms.
we
Palmer
believe.
is the leader of the Democrat Party here in Parkside, and I find that's a conflict. And I'd just like to note that. I don't
I
agree with
appreciate
it.
your noting that conflict. Thank you very much. Any other questions? All those in favor? Let's do a roll call vote. Go ahead.
Mr. Bull?
I'm here.
Mr. Powers is absent. Mr. Sidlow?
Aye.
Ms. Persky?
No,
Mr. Swigert?
Yes.
Mr. Costigan?
Yes.
President Guy?
Yes. So moved. Thank you.
4-1, 2 absent.
And I believe that is all I have for the rest of my,
I have some questions, Mrs. Guy. I sent out an email September 25th. Well, I've sent out several I've gotten no response to. The first one is, does anybody know physically where the borough's credit card is located? Mr. Platt does not have it.
we have a credit card?
We made a whole thing about getting one, but I don't know that it ever got.
We did get a $2,000 credit card from Sharon Bank, and I've asked, where is it physically located?
I never had it.
Has anybody ever seen it?
I've never seen
That
it.
was my question.
I've never seen it.
All right,
And
I'll
I'll
ask.
be honest, I haven't seen any bills for it.
Yeah, no, nobody's spending on it. Could you ask the treasurer what they know about that?
Sure.
Thank you.
Also, I sent an email requesting the financial, you sent an email saying that the financial reports were going to be put on the website. I know several of us disagreed with that, including the treasurer and Mr. Bull. That was never completed in conversation to have that done.
I don't remember the treasurer opposing it.
She did, as well as Mr. Bull.
Okay, well, that's,
I'd like it brought up again when Mr. Bull and the treasurer are both here.
that's fine.
And 9 weeks ago, you had stated that you were going to send council information on the old church that
I
was,
sent that to you.
I don't have it.
Okay,
And
I'll send it again.
I'm wondering if anybody else on council received that information. It was concerning the contractor or the new owner that was doing the renovations.
I sent it to you. I also sent you a screenshot showing you that I had sent it to you.
I'm not going to debate that because I don't have it.
Are they
September
doing
20
anything? Did they apply for zoning
Well,
variance?
we now have a zoning board, so he's going to call me later on this week. He's been waiting for us to put together the zoning board so that we can schedule a hearing.
Okay.
The one correspondence that Mr. Platt read from the young lady that's having trouble with bed bugs, September 29th, she requested you call her. Apparently you have not done that.
No, I have not.
And my last question is, when I asked for copies of Right to Knows or just a scenario, you told me to do my own research and to go on the website. As of this evening, the website has not been updated since April of this year for any Right to Knows that have been submitted to this borough. Could you tell me, I know Mr. Costigan said he would work on that. Could you tell me when that will be completed?
I did send the right to know requests, all the files to Theo for posting the website. That was a couple weeks ago, I believe, so I'm not sure if hasn't gotten around to it, but I did send those.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you, that's all I have.
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry, since you brought the church up. Going back to the resolution, it's stating that Borough Council has determined the following citizens are qualified candidates for the position. What are the qualifications for the zoning board? Does anybody know that?
There are 3 basic qualifications for candidacy to the zoning hearing board. Number 1, of course, you must live in the community. Number two, you may not hold any other elected office in the borough. And again, that's elected through the citizens of the borough. So if Ms. Palmer has an elected political office, that would not necessarily preclude her from membership on the zoning hearing board. And then the third requirement is you may not be a member of the planning commission simultaneously with membership to the zoning hearing board. They're the only three requirements contained in the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Percival,
Yes,
have you spoken with the person with the bed bug issue?
yes.
Okay, and what,
She has contacted me numerous times during the month of September, and I suggested that she send an email to the office requesting the president of council to contact her directly.
okay, what will the president of council be able to tell her that you were not able to tell her?
She requested somebody in that chair. I spoke with her several times since this has been an ongoing problem. Delaware County Board of Health will not help her because that's not their expertise. They don't have anybody to deal with bed bugs or rodents. I suggested she contact the president of council, and she said she had been trying and had gotten no response. So then I suggested and I gave her Mr. Platt's office email address, put it in writing.
Okay. All right, so, again, I'm just not sure what different is gonna happen if the president of council speaks to this.
I think the resident wanted somebody in authority to give her more ideas than I had given her. And she said she contacted the office before, the president of council never got back to her, and that's when I suggested she put it in writing.
Okay.
And she did, obviously.
All right. Mr. Bull is not here. I understand he left you something.
You did. Date of October 13th, 2023. This is the treasurer's report. Finance report. All bank accounts are reconciled through September 30th, 2023, except Sharon Bank Escrow, Green Tree. We do not have the bank statement for this account. We are including the bank reconciliation and statements for all reconciled funds for council approval. The general fund, for the month of September, $50,044.30 was deposited into TD Bank, and expenses of $4,191.51 were paid. During this period, $19,312.58 of deposit were received into the Sharon Bank General Fund, and $132,216.18 of expenses were paid, including payroll of $50,419.69. Below are the bank balances for the bank statements at 9/30/23. Attached are the transactions that flowed through the Sharon Bank General Fund and the TD Bank General Fund. I assume I'm not reading all that.
Please don't read the whole thing.
Just wanted to- That's it.
Thank you very much.
And he asked me for open space report to report general progress.
All right, we need to have a motion to pay the bills.
I'm sorry.
I'll make a
That's all right.
motion to pay the bills.
It's all right, it's not your job. Thank you very much. I'll take a second. Thank you. Any questions? All those in favor? Opposed? So moved.
And then the motion to accept the treasurer's report.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Mr. Platt, did Mr. Bull leave anything as to when the next budget meeting would be, since there were issues?
He called me today, just said he might not get here and if I would read that. That was it.
Does anybody know if we're gonna have another budget meeting?
I thought we had agreed to that, but then in the email you said that we didn't need another meeting, so.
Well, I thought that we were gonna settle the budget last week, but we didn't.
No, I thought,
So we had dates that we had agreed to.
give me a second, let me go back and take a look.
My understanding is that the next budget meeting was going to be November 8th,
That sounds right.
Wednesday.
Yeah,
The Wednesday before the meeting. Can you
I'm
make
not
that?
going to be here. I'm going to be at a conference, but I can be available by then. But I just printed revised budgets that I'll give to everybody, and you can call me with any questions. I am gonna be out of the country from the 20th through the 31st. I'll be back on November 1st,
Where are you going?
Italy.
Ooh.
But I have a balanced budget, regarding, and there's increases as discussed, so we can look at it and let me know what you think.
Donna, we didn't use all of the savings, did we?
No.
And what would be the increase?
Right now, I have an 8% increase and $40 increase for trash. And I have the supporting documents on that, so you guys can look at that. I sent an email to everybody. I just need to confirm if the tax collector has any more funds, number one, that he's going to deposit before the end of the year. And the count of how many fees we sent for trash. Like, I'm using 836, I don't know if that's correct.
We usually go with 840.
Okay. So that's what I used, and I have that supporting document attached to all this information that I'll get out after the meeting.
Thank you.
And the budget meeting will be at 7 p.m.?
Yeah, and I can probably call in for that. I'll be, I think, a few hours behind, but I think the conference will be over by then.
Okay.
I'll be behind.
What's the date of the meeting?
It's November 8th, if you could advertise that, please.
Should we move it to November 9th and make it available for?
She's in Italy.
No,
No,
not
I'm
then,
coming from the
okay.
conference.
November 9th sounds better.
Would the 9th work for you?
I can make it work, yes.
What day of the week is that?
It's
That's
Thursday.
a Thursday.
Does it work for you, Michael?
I think it should.
I mean, there might be a game, I can't do it.
No, not that.
Not that late.
Maybe 3.
The parade will be during the day. You can make it the meeting at night.
All right,
You don't know how I party.
Oh, he's hanging with Bob, what can we say?
all right. So open space report,
He told me to report general progress.
thank you very much. Junior council report.
So we don't have too much to report for junior council. We talked about some of our updates on our projects that we're working on. Also, we're going to be submitting something for the newsletter to give the community some updates about what the junior council's been working on. And I think Daniel wanted to give an update on the garden project, and then if anybody else has anything.
Hello, I just want to give an update on my junior council project.
Here, Ben, take a microphone, nobody can hear you on the tape, and they're all complaining,
I think I can talk loud enough.
not for the video.
So last year, I talked to Mr. Rodo about combining a rain garden and my memorial project. So we were going to do that down at the woodlot, and I just want to give you guys an update about that. So we discussed a few things and what we would have to do to get the project started. And firstly, the soil that is currently down at the woodlot, it's not really viable for any plants to be done. So we need to dig up we have to get a company to dig up the dirt, and then we have to get some kind of soil to replace it. And then after that's done, we were also thinking about having the little barrels or the places where you plant them. We were going to do that with the memorial garden as well. So kind of have that as another piece. And I just want to say one thing. Last year, during the school year, I put together a letter to try and reach out to businesses about fundraising, maybe. And I just want to reference Ms. Saunders' comment about the fundraising, and that I just want to let it be known that I had already put together a letter about it, and I believe I had talked to Michael about it back in April of last year. So I just wanted to let that be known. And one last thing about the rain garden is there was already a budget set aside, and if Ms. Percival would like to speak about that, she can give you guys more specifics.
I'm not prepared, but I'll wing it. Myself, the mayor, Daniel, and Mr. Roto met April of this year to discuss several projects, one of which was the ability for our junior council members, because we've had a lack of funding, to put in a rain garden. And we looked at the thoughts of a lot of the materials being donated. That's why Daniel started a donation letter. Our main cost, and I'm going to throw this out there, if anybody has a small front end loader that we can use for the project, that's where our main cost was, speaking with Mr. Roto, is to use that front end loader to dig down to the depth and get the materials and layer it. We're hoping for donations when we were speaking about this project. And also, we looked at the tree line when we were down there. There's a triangle of trees that would be perfect for a small shade garden, for a memorial garden to be added down there. Myself, the mayor, and Daniel, Mr. Roto, we all spoke about the different plants that we could sort of, and I say we, meaning they're doing the work, beg and borrow and steal sort of type thing, because it would be a perfect place for a memorial garden of shade plants. So the $5,000 budget basically pertained to the materials being the landscaping material, the bedding of that you need to put down. Thank you. And then you have the dirt, and you can figure it out from 3 foot. So nobody can hand dig 3 feet of a pond and down the hill. For those people that have already asked, no, it's not going to interfere with sled riding. That's a different, you can sled right off to the one side. But the materials basically would be budgeted about $5,000. And again, if anybody has a small front end loader, like you want to donate for a couple hours, and then Daniel has done a great job because he's already started the project with a letter for donations. And also the flower pots down there will be included in their project and have perennials put in there. And hostas and things that don't need a lot of attention, daylilies and that type of thing.
I think that's it for junior council.
All right, thank you very much.
I think that, I'll talk about this afterwards. Never mind.
All right, Mayor, Recreation?
Thank you. So on the 28th of October, we're having the trunk or treat down here. It's actually the fire company and the recreation decided to join in with them. So October 28th between 4 and 6. Movie night. We're finally having a movie night. We don't have to worry about the weather because the school, we're going to have it in the school in their multi-purpose room. So it's a rain or shine. Thank God on that one. That's going to be November 11th and it'll start at 6:30. November 18th at the firehouse, there's going to be an art show and that's going to be between 11 and 3. And then a holiday party, which is going to be Saturday, December 2nd, between 4 and 6. So, again, and for the Christmas or the holiday party this year, we are going to ask residents to sign up. So then we start getting an idea, get a head count and everything. But I will have more information on that. So, but I hope to see everybody on all the little ones on the 28th for a trunk or treat and then movie night for the next two coming up. That's it.
I have a question about the movie night,
Yeah.
because when I had asked about using the school for different events, I know they had said there would be a fee for that. So is there any fee that their school district is
Well, yeah,
charging?
they'll be, because they need it, the
The
custodian and
janitorial,
all that, yep. So as it gets closer, I'll find find that out. I'll be talking with the lady Lisa in reference to that.
Do we know the fee?
Well, it's an hourly based on how long you have it,
That
I
help-
think.
Yeah.
I don't remember because like I said, we never used it, so I didn't really.
Yeah,
go that
we
deep.
just keep on getting rain.
Yeah.
We've been rained out twice, so I don't wanna have to do it, so three's the charm. So we're gonna have the movie night.
All right, moving on. Mr. Costigan, Police Public Safety.
Not too much new in terms of police, continuing with our full-time officers and our new part-time officers. Things are moving smoothly. I do want to talk about the chief and I have been trying to work with Representative Kazim's office on possibly getting a grant for a new car to pay for some of that at least. So we've been trying to go back and forth with her office, and we'll continue to do that, and hopefully get some kind of a grant to offset some of that cost.
I have spoken to Representative Kazim, and her staff is now working with me, trying to move forward on, what's available and how to go about getting that. So that's good news, finally.
When did you hear from her?
I heard from her about a week and a half ago.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I mean, I've asked you, I've asked Mike, I've asked everybody and anybody to help me reach out because they would not return my calls and, but she finally called me personally and apologized for not getting back sooner, and we're on the right track.
Excellent.
So,
Excellent.
yeah, it's
Thank
good
you.
news.
Good, that's great.
That's all.
And when we set up the Civil Service Commission, do we have anybody that's expiring, that their term is expiring soon?
They were 2-year terms, so,
Okay.
well, it was 2, 4, and 6, so. it won't be
Okay, that's
until-
right, it's not 3 like the
Yeah.
zoning. All right, excellent, thank you.
Actually, in reference to the Civil Service Commission, Mr. Wills, did the state pass something where they actually increased the number of officers I think you can have without the need for civil service?
That legislation is pending.
Oh, it's pending, okay.
Okay. Ordinance report, Mr. Sidlow.
Chief, I'm gonna give this to you. You brought up the topic of the noise ordinance and how you'd like to make changes, so please explain. what you have in mind.
Well, the noise ordinance that you have in front of you, I believe is taken from other ordinances here in the county, other municipalities that have noise ordinances. Two things of note. If you go back and look at our current ordinance, it is very, very subjective. And it is extremely hard to enforce something that is subjective. I hear it one way, somebody else hears it another, and that's just not going to cut it when we issue a violation of a noise ordinance. So that was one of the things that I asked when we went through this, is to put something in it that is definitive, very objective. And this ordinance accomplishes that, okay? What the borough would have to do would be to acquire a sound meter and probably send our code officer, since he would be the likely one to enforce most of it. Police could also enforce it, but have the code officer go and get some minimal training on how to measure with the decibel meter. And everything in here is based on decibels. Short duration, which would be a loud sound that repeats itself, or something of a long duration. And it tells you in the ordinance exactly what those thresholds are, so that we go out there, we measure. If it's above the threshold, then we can issue a citation. If it's below the threshold, it's good. So, and thanks to Jay for, getting this together. But this is something that I am confident that the borough can live with, and we can have success. If indeed we have to go to court, we have something that we can stand, that stands the test. So,
Yeah, I had 1 second, and I'm going to give you just some experience. That whoever is going to be the one that is utilizing that meter has to be certified. Because when you get to court, if you don't have that certification, they will throw them out. Which is why many of the municipalities that had something like this did away with it and went to the subjective.
but a subjective ordinance, as you know, it's
Again,
never gonna stand up in
right.
court.
It sometimes does, it depends which court it is. If it's come and please, probably not. If it's a DJ, it may be a little easier. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of that, because we've had issues with CSX in particular. And in our a couple of the municipalities that I have, and we weren't able to, because we were using a meter, but nobody had been certified, they wouldn't allow us to have that in court. Just FYI.
Yeah, and that's not uncommon that, as you know, Chief, with certain instrumentality that the police utilizes.
Sure,
Again, we
absolutely.
have to be certified, and I'm all on board, and, if the borough has to pay for an individual to attend a seminar or schooling to get the certification, I believe that is money well spent.
Would you like to take a moment and explain how this ordinance works, or is that?
Well, I just, and again, just my notes here, again, my office has drafted a new noise control ordinance that prescribes clear and objective criteria in measuring sound levels in decibels that cause a noise disturbance during defined time periods, and prescribes penalties for violations thereof. Again, I worked in consultation with Police Chief Murray in drafting the ordinance. The enforcement, again, of this ordinance would require the borough to purchase a sound level meter device, but I believe that is at a fairly modest price.
$200.
And again, I know there was some talk among council members with regard to the hours, which, again, we can certainly, I have no objection if council wishes to adjust the proposed hours, that there would be noise violations. We can certainly discuss that. We can tweak that if it is the pleasure of council.
My concern, as I stated in an email, was the 10 o'clock. You have it cut off at 9 versus 10. Our weather card for construction is 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. So, of course, that wouldn't be applicable anymore if this ordinance passes. And it gets dark later in the summer, so I think 10 o'clock may be a reasonable time. I mean, that's my opinion.
I don't object to that.
That's something council would be in favor for. We can certainly tweak that as far as the hours. Shirley suggested from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m.
You have any opinion, Chief?
Pardon me?
Do you have any opinion on
No,
9 as opposed to 10?
Again, it's the pleasure of council. What do you want that will satisfy you and the residents? What are you willing to accept? Is 10 o'clock reasonable? Sure, 10 o'clock's reasonable. We don't get all that many noise complaints.
I know.
It's there's no industry here in the borough which might be creating a problem. We don't have any major storage yards where tractor trailers or heavy equipment will be coming and going at all hours of the night. We don't have those things. So most of the noise that the police department responds to are loud parties, and the first thing that we do is, hey, tone it down. It's 11 o'clock, time to, and 99.9% of the people that you say that to go, okay, we got it. So it's not a huge problem, but again, I do like the idea that we have something to measure.
All right, so let's,
So
anyone else? have
I
any
agree with the
thoughts?
10 o'clock change.
I think Ms. Percival just wants to pester her neighbors a little bit, but I'll go along with it.
Party hard.
I've been told that most of the noise violations on the decibel meter are occurring at Citizens Bank Ballpark. They broke a record the other
They did.
evening.
111?
Yes, was that Bryce Harper at the home run?
That was Bob.
Bob,
Is Mr. Platt?
Bedlam at the bank,
that
right?
one at the bank, yes.
All right, so I think,
Well, I have a comment as well.
yes.
I think the fines, particularly the preliminary fine is too high. This is point number 5 at the end there. Like, I'm okay with a low fine at the beginning and then it escalates pretty quickly for multiple violations.
I'm just gonna say that by the time they get a fine, they've been warned, you know, like, they don't just bam, get a fine. As the chief said, somebody's gonna go out and say, you know, tone it down, guys. You know, somebody's gonna have to be pretty defiant to get that, and, I mean,
Yeah, knowing our police department, I believe this would be judiciously enforced.
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, last
So,
resort.
I don't see that as being an immediate problem.
Compliance is the goal.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right. Anything else? So we'll change it to 10.
I could change that, tweak that, but we can entertain if council is now prepared for a motion to obviously
To advertise.
advertise this ordinance with the slight amendment that council has referred to this evening with regard to the times. And then, of course, we would consider this for a motion for adoption at the November monthly meeting.
I'll make a motion to advertise the revised noise ordinance with the 10 PM change as recommended by council.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Do we have an ordinance number?
I don't.
Give me a minute. It's in here somewhere. 577.
I'm sorry,
577.
All right, moving on to license and inspections report, Mr. Sidler.
Okay, there were 5 residential building permits and no commercial. There were 2 plumbing residential permits and no commercial. There were no mechanical or electrical permits. And I think this says use and occupancy, there were 4.
So for that right to know, Bob, there were no commercial permits.
Yeah, I was gonna ask Jay if I could just respond to that and get rid of it.
Yeah, Bob, I believe those right to know requests for that particular requester comes out fairly
Every month.
regular,
Yeah,
so.
Michael told me they usually come monthly.
Every
Yeah,
month,
so,
yeah.
a standard letter, which I believe probably is in our system. So that's probably one, Bob, that you need not necessarily refer to me each and every month.
I'll get rid
A
of
little
that.
less on my
I'll
plate.
get rid of it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Pretty basic. Excellent.
Okay, so on to code compliance officer. So we have tried very hard to hire a code compliance officer. We've even hired 2. We've had special meetings to hire, and so far neither one has started for any length of time. We now have a new applicant. Her name is Brenda Rowan. She's here tonight. And Brenda does not have experience or training as a code compliance officer, but as Ms.
Lisa.
As Lisa suggested, we find someone who has experience with law enforcement background, with enforcing and helping people do things they don't necessarily want to do. So Brenda Rowan comes from the Camden County Juvenile Detention Center, where she worked for many years, has retired from that position and was a leader. I forgot what your title was, but had a leadership. Right, she had a leadership position in that in the detention center. So there is an organization called InterNACHI that's a home inspection organization for $50 a month. You can be a member of InterNACHI, and there is a course that can be taken to learn how to enforce the property maintenance code, which is the code that needs to be enforced by a code compliance officer. It's a 59-hour course. I would imagine over the span of 60 days. So the course cost of about $100 or $98. That course could be completed, and the most applicable parts of the course could be taken in the order that make the most sense for what needs to be enforced. So even though we don't have a trained, a person who has experience, I'm not saying trained, a person who does not have experience as a code compliance officer in the past, I believe that with some online training, some leadership from the members in this room, and with some grit and determination, that Brenda Rowan would be able to get up to speed within, 30 to 60 days on how to be the code compliance officer in the borough. So I would like to propose that we hire Brenda Rowan as code compliance officer.
Making a motion.
I make that motion, yes.
Second.
Any questions?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry?
I knew you had questions.
Mr. Sidlow, you're in violation of our own resolution 1826. The candidate you proposed does not have the qualifications that we required and you voted on, or this.
Well, I voted against it.
You voted against it, but council voted on a resolution, again, 1826 from September 23rd of 2020. So this candidate has stated that she would not pay for the training, which we've never paid for anybody else's training. And Mrs. Guy stated in the last meeting that she was checking with other boroughs to see if we could borrow a code officer, because this is an interim position until the end of the year. So my point again, I've sent numerous emails. You're in violation of resolution by hiring this candidate.
Okay, can we overturn the resolution? What do we have to do to overturn that resolution?
Technically, Shirley, and I am familiar with that resolution, but it does not carry the binding authority, as you probably know, of an ordinance, which again is an actual law. It is a local law. A resolution carries a little less teeth, as we say. So if council, in its infinite wisdom, wishes to disavow or simply ignore that particular resolution with regard to the requirements of the code enforcement officer, it may do so. And again, I know we do not presently have a code enforcement officer, and
Excuse me, but we do have other candidates, other persons who have not been interviewed to know. And again, who is paying for the training? It's an interim position and
It's
nobody.
$100.
I'm sorry, are we paying for it? We've never set precedent to pay for any inspector's training or recertification. Why are we starting now when there's other candidates that have not been interviewed?
Does the other candidate you're referring to have the training already necessary, or would they need to be trained as well?
I don't know, we haven't interviewed them.
Well, I saw the resume, and the qualifications were no greater or less than the candidate that we had
There
in
were
front of us.
two candidates that have not been interviewed. One was in the construction field.
No, that
and
was,
the other person,
Oh, that one? That's, yeah. You know who that is.
I think we all do, but that's not the point. I'm asking specific questions and
Well,
I'm not getting
We're not
specific
gonna
answers.
consider a candidate who regularly violates our ordinances, so,
I don't think that is an issue. My question is, who is paying for the training for this interim position why are we not interviewing other persons?
Well, okay, so first of all, Mrs. Percival's motivation is to stall and delay
No,
and
that's
not to
not
hire a
true.
code compliance
That is
officer
not
so
true,
that when
and I've
Nick,
said that in
so that when
an
Nick
email.
wins reelection, he can appoint himself back into the job. Okay, so let's,
All right.
Now
let's,
we're
let's
into
make, let's make,
politics.
let's make it clear the
Now we're
motivation.
into politics.
Mrs. Percival, you're always into politics,
No,
okay?
Mr.
So
Stapleton,
don't-
Okay, both
You
of you,
are.
both of you,
You're the
stop.
one that stated
Ms.
this is a
Percival, I
majority
asked you to
Democrat, majority
Ms. Percival. Thank you.
And let's further discuss the resolution that you're referring to.
No, I'm
That was-
asking specific questions. Who's paying for this person's
So
training?
why do you keep interrupting when you hate when
Why
other
do we,
people interrupt?
because I don't get an answer.
Okay, so, we can do it a number of ways. Number one,
Can you please keep it quiet out there? Sorry, go ahead.
we can ask the candidate to take the training, pay the $49 for 1 month or 2 months, however long it takes to complete the training, and they can pay for it themselves. We can also provide reimbursement for the training after it's complete. All right, I don't think that we would pay to take the class. I believe that would be on the candidate's time. But in terms of, a $49 or a $98 investment to have a trained and certified person to do the job that we have not been able to hire someone already with those qualifications, I think that's a fair investment by the borough to make that investment.
So it's gonna take 2 months to be trained. That takes you to December.
Mhm.
Now, you've made a motion to appoint a specific person. Are they agreeable to paying for their training? And are you going to reimburse our current inspectors when they need recertified in January? That's right, you're not gonna be here. It'll be set on the next council.
Okay, can we move on?
No, I'm
To
waiting for an answer.
You want the answer to that question?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not going to ask the candidate to pay for the training. I believe that we can spend $100. There is a shortage of code enforcement officers, is that not correct?
Absolutely, we've struggled to find somebody who
And
has.
we're not the only borough that is.
And did you contact the other municipalities like you said?
We have done a great deal of research.
I'm sorry,
Have-
I was asking
You know what,
Mrs.
Ms.
Scott.
Percival?
Did you contact the other
How much effort have
municipalities?
you made to
Yeah, what have
contact
you
others?
done to
What have
help?
you done about this?
You took
You
on
com-
the
you-
project.
No.
You
You
took
complain
on the
about
project.
work not being done, but you don't do any work. You only complain about the work that we're doing.
Okay.
You don't complain about the work that you're not doing.
And
We're
you
gonna
took
move on.
the project.
Let's vote. Let's vote. Roll call vote,
So we
please.
don't know who's being paid for
Actually, we
what.
can't vote because we still have the resolution 1826 in place.
No,
No,
he just said we can move on
Yeah.
without having to deal with that.
That is not per se
It has no
legally
teeth.
binding. It is, it's less teeth, less authority than a binding ordinance.
A motion is we wanna, a resolution is we really wanna, an ordinance is we have to.
With this, are we saying, are we doing the appointment of the person or the appointment of the person and the reimbursement of the funds?
I think we can do the reimbursement of the funds when the training is complete.
See, I'm gonna have to say, I do agree with Ms. Percival that I don't think we need to open the door with paying for training. Because if you're doing it for one position, we're doing it for all positions.
I don't think anything we do has to set a precedent. Right now, we've been struggling for months to replace this
And
position.
we're also struggling with funds, and when we come to other positions as well, it's gonna start increasing fees. I think I have no problem with appointing the code enforcement compliance officer, but I don't think we should be funding the certification course.
You know what, Scott? I will donate it out of my pay. Honest to God, I will donate it out of my pay. I don't care. I'll pay for it myself. I thought you said that too. I'll pay for it myself. I don't care. I'll write you a check.
I'll contribute half.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, so it will cost us nothing to train Ms. Rowe. And so now, do we have a motion on the table yet?
I made the motion, I believe it's been
Yeah, I
seconded.
believe we all right. So any other questions? Roll call vote. Thank you.
Mr. Bull is absent. Mr. Powell is absent. Mr. Sidlow,
Aye.
Ms. Percival,
No.
Mr. Swigert,
Yes.
Mr. Costigan,
Yes.
President Guy,
Yes,
4-1.
so moved, thank you. Moving on.
Okay, so, this is kind of a carryover from the last meeting. And, what I'm talking about is the building improvement plan that I put together as recommendation to the community as to how we can upgrade the borough building. So, I really did a 45 or hour-long webinar on this topic, so I don't really want to review what I did already and that's open, that's on the website, anybody can look at that. Just in general, we have the air condition that serves the borough office is currently not working. There is also an air conditioner that serves this room. There's an air conditioner that serves the hallway and the vestibule and the 2 bathrooms. There's an air conditioner that serves the front of the police station, and there's an air conditioner that serves the back of the police station. Okay. The unit serving the hallway and the bathrooms is also not working. Okay. At some point, the borough has to decide to make those replacements. It's about $15,000 for 3-ton air conditioning units. There are also other improvements that can be made to the borough building. That includes upgrading the lighting. Back in 2021, we went into detailed conversations about upgrading the borough lighting, the borough building lighting.
Hang on, Scott. Excuse me, thank you. Go ahead, Scott.
And we never made that investment. But it is a great opportunity to save a lot of money on lighting in this building. We don't have to replace all the lights, like the lights in this room are not used very often. So they may not be as a high priority, but the lights in the police station are on pretty much 24 hours a day. So those would be valuable lights to change. Sealing up the ductwork and sealing air leaks is important ways to reduce energy. The crawl space below us, below the building, it has a concrete floor, but it has crawl vents all the way around. And then there's no insulation in the floor. But there is insulation on the crawl space walls. So the purpose of crawl vents is for moisture that comes out of the ground to escape out of the crawl space. But when you have a concrete floor, you don't have moisture coming out of the ground. That's your vapor barrier. So there's no real reason to have an insulated wall with basically a hole in it or 6 holes in it around the perimeter of the building, and to just let cold air into the crawl space. And then there's no insulation in the floor. So the simple solution is to seal up the crawl vents. It's a very inexpensive piece of where you put a 1x2 piece of rigid foam board in and seal it in place, and the crawl spaces are vented up. That will reduce air infiltration. The attic is a very difficult attic to get around. And this leads to a problem in that we don't replace our filters in the air conditioning system very well. And that is, I think, what has led to a big part of the air conditioners failing is lack of regular maintenance on the system. So catwalks should be installed to provide good ability to walk around up in the attic, as well as do some air sealing measures, put some covers over the attic access stairways. There's 2, one in the men's room, one in the police station. So those should be installed, and a general air sealing package should be performed of the building, of the attic. The water heater gets used very little. We have a big 80-gallon water heater, And it's my understanding that the police department takes maybe 2 to 4 showers a month. So we've got this big, massive water heater that's being used very little. And the few times that people wash their hands with hot water is all the usage for it. So it's in good condition, probably because it's used so little, but when it's time to replace that water heater, a smaller one should be purchased. There's no reason to have such a big water heater has a lot of standby loss.
Is that water heater always heating water or is it on a timer?
No, it's always heating water. I mean, it's only heating water when there's demand. So one of two ways happens. Someone takes a shower, water comes out of the water heater, and then the temperature in the tank is too low, so the water heater
Okay.
heats it up. The second would be the just sitting there, standby losses out of the tank cause the temperature to drop. And so then the water heater has to fire to heat it up again.
So we shouldn't have it on timer?
It's fine though. The timer's not the solution.
Not gonna benefit.
Timer's
All
not
right,
the
gotcha.
solution, okay. And then, so the final thing is, drop ceilings like this are not air barriers. Air is able to transfer through it. And then above this ceiling, the insulation is attached to the roof, to the roof rafters like this. So the insulation is here, but the ceiling is here. And so the air barrier and the insulation are not in contact with each other. The insulation and the air barrier are supposed to be together. So it is an expensive fix, but it doesn't make sense to fix it because this room is used only for less than 2 hours or 3 hours a month. So the best way to manage this room is to keep the conditioning off in this room, except for the 1 day a month we're going to have a meeting. And then Bob and I have been working on this. He comes in and he turns on the heat or the air conditioning whenever this room is needed. To rest of the time, let it just in the winter cool down, and then the summer heat up and keep the doors closed is the best solution to using energy in this room. It's almost like a church cathedral. In a church, the best way to manage the big open spaces is to only heat those up on Sundays. Same with this room here is we should use it as little as possible. That will also conserve the life of the air conditioner and the heater in this room over time. Okay, so those are some general recommendations. A roof is going to need to be replaced in 6 or 7 or 8 years. It'll be 30 years of the life of the roof. A solar system would be very viable. Sometime after a roof replacement, again, that's viable. And what I generally proposed was a series of 7 $20,000 projects. Office air conditioner, one being first. And then attic air sealing, crawl vent sealing, LED lighting, duct sealing, and attic insulation. That would be another $20,000 investment. All those things together would be one $20,000 investment. And then the hallway HVAC system would be another $15,000 or $20,000 investment. And then the rear of the police station has another older air conditioner. That would be another $15,000 investment. And then eventually the council room, HVAC system, and then the roof, and then a solar array. So what I've described is a 7 to 10 year plan for how to manage the spaces in this building. We're in budget season. We should budget for either 1 or 2 air conditioners. We've been back and forth on that in the budget meetings. We'll need to talk about that. That should be our short-term needs, and then look at the longer-term needs as we go. So that's my general summary.
Okay. Are you able to work with Mr. Cornog to show him how to change the filters?
Yes, that's easy to do.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. The other option is to get a service contract with whichever HVAC contractor we choose to make the investment of replacing the air conditioners, is to get an annual service contract. I've gotten 3 bids on that already. They're between $2,500 and $1,800 a year. That's for 4 visits a year. So 4 visits to 5 air handlers on one trip.
Do me a favor, work with Mr. Cornock and see if that's something that he feels he can do.
Okay.
All right?
Fine.
Thank you. Moving on. Let's see. I guess we will skip to recycling, Ms. Percival.
Thank you. The totals for September for trash were 91.65 ton. Recycling was 16.71 tons, and our totals were a little low for the month of September.
Do we have any more holidays that'll affect our
We
pickup?
do. We have the week of Thanksgiving and Christmas week.
And so what's the schedule those weeks? I guess no pickup on
No
Friday.
pickup for recyclables, Thanksgiving week or Christmas week.
No pickup for recycling, but we do have trash
Regular
pickup.
trash.
Okay.
And I have not received the 2024 schedule yet.
And big trash pickup, just as a reminder, is the last Friday of the month.
Last
Is that
Friday of the
correct?
month, 3 items.
Good, we got stuff to go. Okay. Moving on to Mr. Swiger, Communications.
Our next newsletter is going to be coming out middle of November, sometime right before Thanksgiving. With the way November looks, we're not going to have a communications meeting in November. Next council meeting, we'll talk about meeting for December. And just to kind of update, I believe, Theo, you have been in contact with the police department regarding their website.
Yes, yeah, we started talking, met with Officer Pat last week, so we kind of got a plan to get it back up. So.
Excellent.
And other than that, I can report general project.
All right, thank you very much. Where are we? Ms. Catania.
The tax collector.
We don't have do we have a tax collector's report?
Actually, we don't. I texted him this morning. I texted him this morning about it, and he said that he had a bounced check, so there was no report.
Okay.
Thank you. I will go, sorry. I didn't want Ed to feel left out.
He's not even here.
I know. I know. So we have a couple projects that are going on. Spoke to the contractor. The lights for West Cole were shipped today. So they should be here within the next 2 weeks, and they will be installed as soon as they get them. Friday or Monday, depending on the weather, they will have the Christmas tree or the evergreen that is going to be utilized as the Christmas tree. That will be put in on Friday or Monday. Most likely it will be Monday, but he said if he can get the tree from the nursery, he'll put it in on Friday. So that's that project that will be completed. I also wanted to mention that there's a grant that I don't think that anybody is using here. Quite a few of my municipalities have received small grants, $5,000, $10,000. It's through the gambling money that the county has. Can't remember the name of it. It's like the name of the group is this long, but Paul Johnson, lives in Prospect Park, is actually the chairman of that group. I can get you the information, but police departments have gotten grants for small things. See, I've been gone for a year, what can I tell you?
We
did get a grant too.
We were just successful this year.
Did you? Okay.
For $2,500.
I didn't hear anything, so I thought I'd mention it because Paul, last I talked to him, like 2 weeks ago, they have quite a bit of money that he was very proud of the amount that they've already given out, but they have money.
Yeah, we only qualified for the smallest
Yeah.
amount. Some of the other police departments around qualified because they are already accredited, qualified for more. At some future date, when we are accredited, we'll be able to take advantage of that even more.
And the fire company got some equipment as well. I know in Prospect Park they did, and I believe at Easton they had as well. So there are some smaller grants out that you possibly can reach out and try to grab. It used to be that the gaming money was only for the municipalities that were directly affected by the casino. That's been changed, I guess, a few years ago. But I did want to mention that, and I had mentioned a while back, well, about a week ago, the LSA grant, the legislative set aside money is out. So if you can, I think that's probably what the chief is referring to with Representative Kazim. Their grants are due, I think, the end of the month, end of November.
November 30th.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right, so that's out there. I was suggesting that maybe we reach out and see if she can help, and you're gonna ask the question, so I'm.
Go ahead, beat me to it.
Yeah, I'm gonna beat you to it. Maybe something that we look at, for the, Edgemont Avenue project. And, we've been talking about this stormwater project for quite a while. We put a grant in to see the Commonwealth Finance Authority under the PA Small Sewer and Water Grant. They were supposed to announce the awards in June. They postponed, CFA board postponed the award in June to September. They did not have a September meeting, so now we're assuming they have a November 17th meeting, that it may be on the November 17th agenda. I haven't seen the agenda. I went online to see if I could see what was on their agenda. It's not posted yet because I guess it's in November, so it's too short period of time, or not
Too soon.
too soon. Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome. I knew it.
I only have one eye today, so my brain's not working real well. The other thing that I had on my agenda is the Pico Green Region grant. We've gotten several Green Region grants over the years. That Green Region grant is now announced. It's underway. Just listening to everything that's been going on here, I have to wonder whether or not we have issues with the trees in Woodlot. A tree assessment could be done under the grant. The grant's only $5,000 to $10,000. So it's not a whole lot of money that we could do anything real big unless we're gonna leverage it with some other project. But I'm thinking if we can get either we have an assessment, I wish Mr. Bull was here because he'd be able to tell me whether there's been a full assessment of the woodlot so that we have a plan and we could get that plan completed and then go and see if we can't find funding to replant where we need to and get rid of the trees that are an issue. We have to do a resolution tonight. I went online. It will not let me into the system. It tells me my password is bad. I sent an email to get a new password and I haven't gotten anything back yet. So I may have to use an old resolution from last year to present, but at least if council has another project they may want to do, like planting trees, I thought about planting trees along the service road to supplement what was done with the pipeline when the pipeline company came in. Any kind of tree restoration that we can do or tree planting we can do actually access credits to our NPDES permit. But as well, it filters through. So we could do some shrubs and some trees along that edge too. It's really up to council to decide. You can pick one project to do. I think the tree assessment is probably the more immediate need that you have. And usually these grants are pretty quick in getting announced. So this is Pico Green Region done through the Natural Lands Trust. So it's out there and you could consider a resolution to file for the Pico Green Region. That's council's pleasure.
Can we do that tonight? We have to do it tonight.
You have to.
Good, yes.
Yeah, it's on the agenda.
Yeah,
Just,
I'd like to
There are
make a motion
exigent
to allow Ms. Catania to draft a resolution to apply for a tree assessment
But do we have to pass the resolution tonight?
Yeah.
through the PICO.
Yes, and
We need to pass the resolution tonight.
Pass the resolution.
So just go whole hog.
You would have to adopt the resolution, and it's a template resolution. It's just unfortunate I couldn't get on that website to get it.
So I'll make a motion to adopt a resolution to apply for the Pico Green Region grant for a tree assessment.
I'll second that with the resolution number that Mr. Platt can supply us with.
Not right now.
Probably
It's okay.
1827, or no, that is it.
Yeah, we got ordinance, and don't mix up your ordinances and your resolutions.
No, I actually assigned 1863 to the other resolution, say
Okay.
1864.
All right, 1864.
I'll put that on the top of the resolution. So that's one.
Please.
All right, are there any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved.
And I'll talk to Mr. Bowl, make sure that I know what Doug's done, what hasn't been done, and move forward from there. The only other thing that I wanted to mention is it's for the junior council project. We may be able to reach out to Delaware County Conservation District or to the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society, Penn State. They may be able to assist us. I know Penn State actually has an advisor that they're doing a project right now at Western High School. So there is somebody that could come in, maybe even get us the material for the plantings. So I'll send that information to Mike, and maybe we can see if we can't get this moving a little bit more. What you really need is a small backhoe. I don't think we want to use a front end loader, but we could. It might be. It probably won't work as well.
You didn't have sons,
And
It
that's
was
why you
good
don't.
thought though.
Mr. Roto, when we met with him in April, had mentioned some of the various groups that may be able to donate
Mhm.
to get involved. I don't know how much.
Right.
but-
Right, so I mean, I know that the horticultural, I know that Delaware County Conservation District
And the horticulture.
has small grants that they provide to the community, so could very well be that through them, we might be able to get something, okay? And that's all I have, I talked long enough, thank you.
Question for Ms. Catania. Were you able to get any information on the metal plate that is covering the inlet at Tom Sweeney and Upland Road for a year now?
I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
I'm not really sure who to reach out to find out.
Maybe Charles has some information. We believe it was some work done in Brookhaven at that intersection with we know Pico was there.
There's a name on the plate.
And there wasn't a name, but we know somebody put the plate down when a child fell in it.
Yeah. All right, I'll check that out. One last thing, I did talk to Mike Burns about the sinkholes in Edgemont Avenue, and he said he will be filling them as long as need be, so.
Yeah, the one over on Elbon, it's
Is
getting there again.
Yeah, it is.
Just keep sinking.
Well, he asked me the same thing, you know, where are we with the grant?
But again, you know, we've been talking about it for months because they literally have been not making a decision for months. So it's just.
They didn't even have a meeting in September.
Yeah, it sounds like an agency that's not operating.
Tell them there's people waiting.
But people are on a board and they're like, all right, we can meet. No, let's not meet. They're getting a
Yeah,
check.
We've worked with the CFA quite often, but I've never been to one of their meetings. It's definitely not like a Penvest. Like, we could go to Penvest, and Penvest would give us the money. They have a grant program and they have a loan program. It's pretty, the paperwork that's involved in it and the timing that's involved in it is pretty substantial. But, And that's an alternative.
And we don't know what their interest rate is at this point.
No, it's, at one point, I know 2 years ago when we had applied in Prospect Park, it was 1.75%. So you're probably around 3 or 4 at this point again.
Thank you, Lisa.
I thought I looked it up, our project was too small for Penn Best.
The project has to be, I think it's $250,000, I think.
we make it there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll check. I still have contacts over there.
Okay. So on to Mr. Wills.
Yes, thank you, Madam President, and a most good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The October Solicitor's Report is as follows. Number one, the property at 20 West Rowan Road. My office has been notified that this property is subject to a mortgage foreclosure sale by the Delaware County Sheriff's Office. And that's because the borough has or is a lien holder to this particular property. Therefore, I have contacted the sheriff's office and calculated and prepared a list of all outstanding municipal liens on this property that will be subject to a recovery of all lien amounts at the time the property is subject to the foreclosure sale. Secondly, concerns the streetlight procurement program contract. My office, with the assistance of Scott, had initially drafted a proposed contract for council's consideration, authorizing a cooperative purchasing and installment agreement for, again, the regional streetlight procurement program administered by the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission. Most recently, we have been advised by Mike Fuller, the president of Keystone Lighting Solutions, that an amended agreement will be forwarded to Borough Council's consideration perhaps as early as later this week. Next item on my agenda concerns, again, the annual municipal budget. Earlier this month, I had drafted a legal summary or synopsis, again, to Borough Council, to the mayor, the treasurer, and the borough secretary, again, regarding the preparation, the advertising, and passage of the annual budget as promulgated, again, by Chapter 13 of the Pennsylvania Borough Code. And I trust this information has been helpful and will certainly assist the borough secretary in the necessary advertising requirements. And finally, on my list, of course, is our right to know request. Again, my office continues to work diligently with the new borough's open records officer in responding to multiple right to know requests, the optimum word, of course, being multiple. And with that, Madam President, I can report general progress.
That was like 3 minutes.
Well,
Are you feeling okay?
He did 2/3 of it earlier in the meeting, because it already came up.
All right.
Yes,
You can see it, so I can see it's all crossed off.
Yep, and all my, on my agenda.
All right. And with that, we have the call to citizens for any non-agenda related items.
Andy Slowick, 142 East Roland. My question was, we had 96 vehicle stops. Is that absolutely high for us
Is it high?
compared to, say, other months?
No, it's about average right now. Since we have brought on the additional 4-time officers, we are spending quite a bit of time out there enforcing vehicle code violations, both along Edgemont Avenue. Every day we're in the school zone, and the various stop signs throughout the township or throughout the borough. We're spending a lot of time on each of those. So yes, we are making a lot of vehicle stops.
Okay. The only other question is, in this, you had a big fight over the code enforcement officer. What you do is you do. But can you take your money, your personal money, and pay for something? I thought that had to come out of budget.
I'll make a donation to the borough.
No, that's not, ma'am, you just said something different than what you said earlier. You said it's a donation. I just don't understand. If it's money that has to be paid, I don't see why it should come out of yours. If this woman is, or this person, whomever we get, is gonna pay for this. And all of a sudden now we're gonna pay for it out of a donation?
I
It don't sound right to me, ma'am. It don't sound right to me.
I understand.
Now
Is there
that's,
anything wrong with it, Mr. Wills?
Anybody is welcome to provide a donation or a contribution for a borough program. We have certainly done this in the past with regard to our recreational programs. We've accepted contributions for police vests and other law enforcement type of equipment, so that is certainly legitimate. And again, we would welcome any citizens that would like to provide contributions for borough programs, equipment, training, seminars.
to me, that's different than what this is. That's really cutting hairs to me. Okay. Go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Rose. I live on Garrison. I wanted to ask, are you Chief Murray?
That's me.
You are, okay. I wanted to ask a question about the noise ordinance because I share a wall with 6-7 dogs that can bark all day long. So are they from 9 to 10? Are those dogs allowed to just bark?
No.
No.
No, once the ordinance is passed, we can measure what kind of sound is coming. Dogs bark. That's a reasonable expectation. A dog is going to bark. If the dog barks incessantly, different story. And we can address that once we get the ordinance in place.
Okay, so how many decibels do they have to be barking? And what's like you talked about, I was watching online and then I came over because I wanted to ask this question. You said there are sounds of long duration and short duration. So is there a time, how much time is a long duration?
Well, you'd have to read the ordinance, okay? It talks about anything from 1 minute to 14 hours. Again, until we get the ordinance in place, there's not an enormous amount that we can do. Once we get the ordinance in place and we get the required equipment and we get the individual certified, we can measure and have something substantive which we can take before a court if they can't fix the problem, okay? And have a citation issued and taken before the court.
Oh, okay. Sorry to sigh, but I really don't want to be the mean neighbor that forces them to train their dogs, but, okay, is that anywhere I can read online or?
We'll put this up on the website.
Yeah, it has to be, it's gonna be advertised, so it's gonna be.
Yeah, it'll be
available.
advertised, it'll
Right.
be available to be read in the office, but we'll also make it available on the website.
You can have my copy after the meeting.
Okay, thanks, Scott. All right, thank you, that's all. The only other thing I wanted to add about buying the new lights to save money. Sometimes I can't come to meetings because I have health problems, but, I wanted to tell everybody that I know people who, talk about the EMFs and the quality of light. And apparently the lower Kelvin light bulbs give off less blue light, which is what's giving everybody insomnia, the blue screens, television, cell phones, iPads. So for the health of the borough, it would be better if we had the low Kelvin lights that give off less blue light. So I just wanted to let everyone know that. You can research it if you want.
We discussed that last month when there was the presentation about the streetlights, and we know to put that in the project plan because of your request, they'll cover it.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure anybody who's
Thank you
here
for following up, yes.
heard it too. Okay, thanks.
Dina Sweeney, do I have to say my address?
No.
Okay. I have a question too about the noise ordinance. Do you have to actually measure it to cite somebody for something? Like, let's say someone's outside running their blower for half an hour, just standing there, and they see the cops coming, or somebody coming, and they turn it off? Is that okay that they're doing that for an hour every day, or how is that gonna work?
If there is noise to be measured, the device will measure it, and we can cite based on the results of that.
So it has to be measured in order for it to be?
Hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, but there is something on the books currently.
Yes.
But yes, this is.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
All right, we have one item on new business, I believe. Michael, you requested this.
Yeah, so I wanted to discuss the potential of charging for right to know requests. And I wanted to get the solicitor's input on this.
You're judging me?
Your question, sir?
So in light of all of the right to know requests, and really what I'm focused on is the time that the treasurer and Mr. Wills put into these requests. And to me, it does not seem fair to the taxpayers to be paying for all these requests for the services that are being rendered. So to me, it seems, I don't know if we can do this or not, but it seems sensible to make the person requesting these documents pay for those services that are being rendered. So if the treasurer has to look into something, or if Mr. Wills has to look into something, to me, it's not fair to all the taxpayers to be paying for that, but that requester should be footing that bill. And if they don't want to pay the bill for those services, then to me, I don't think that they should be requesting the documents. And you know, we've had requests of hundreds, in some cases, thousands of documents that, you know, somebody, myself, the secretary, put time into putting together. And, you know, I just, like I said, think that we're just giving away a lot of our time and effort for these requests when I think that there's a better way of doing it. But, so I don't know if we can charge in that kind of a way, or how it would work.
Councilman, I am very sympathetic and empathetic to the concerns you have raised here this evening. Unfortunately, the Pennsylvania Right to Know law, as presently written, does not allow a borough, a government entity, to charge the requester for administrative time, legal time. The only thing we could charge for, again, is written copies. Again, if they're hard copies, we charge 25 cents per page. And if we have to mail out the copies, then we can certainly charge for postage. But the administrative time, and I know certainly the borough secretary's time is valuable. My time is valuable. Your time is valuable. If I had my druthers, I would make certain amendments to the Pennsylvania Right to Know law. And I have made those comments known to a number of our legislators here in Delaware County, that I think we can improve the Pennsylvania Right to Know law with certain amendments. Unfortunately, to date, my concerns have fallen on deaf ears. But again, I'm very sympathetic to your concerns. They're legitimate concerns. And I think that's something the Pennsylvania State Legislature has to take a serious look at going into the future, Again, I do believe, again, most right to know law requests, they are legitimate. And certainly residents and people have legitimate inquiries as to how their government is functioning and looking at, various public records and public documents. Do I believe that in a small number of cases, there may be abuse of the statute as presently written? Yes, I do believe that in a limited number of cases, there is some abuse, and I think we need to address those limited cases that are out there whereby perhaps citizens are abusing the system as it is presently written.
So you said we can charge a fee for the pages of
Yeah,
documents.
25 cents per page is what.
Unless they get it electronically.
Should we be doing that now, or is that something we have to?
We have been doing, but most people get them electronically.
Well, because I wasn't aware, and we had a right to know request that the requester couldn't access it electronically, so we had to print it, and I didn't know that was.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yes, all printed documents, all hard copies, yes.
Okay.
Again, that is 25 cents per page. Any postage, again, we can require that the postage be paid and those fees be paid upfront before we release those public records or documents.
Are you taking notes over there?
How much do you owe us, Michael?
Huh?
How much do you owe us?
The Office of Open Records adopted a new right to know fee schedule, December 30th of 2022. And I printed out a copy for them.
Well, I don't need it anymore, but
I'll print out a copy for Bob. I've
That
got,
Jimmy B.
Yes.
I got update for sending.
Michael, that's one of the reasons that I feel like proactively putting out our financial reports and stuff like that by being transparent and people not having to ask. I mean, short of us all conducting emails publicly, we can't prevent people who request months worth of emails. I don't know how to prevent that.
Now, I have to say that I disagree with with this topic. I believe that to have good quality open government, it should be the right of any citizen to, say, I want to know what's going on. And I think that should be at the cost of the borough. I think that's very appropriate to ensure that we're doing our jobs properly, that no one's getting ripped off, and that, having watchdogs in the community is good for government and good for society. So I think that I agree with the way the open records law is already written, and I think that it would not be in the borough's best interest to charge people for open records.
I believe it impacts smaller municipalities and government entities like Parkside Borough, where we have very limited staffing, limited hours that the borough secretary is working, as opposed to larger municipalities where they may have an open records officer, they may have multiple deputy open records officers, and they have the resources and the manpower to spend hours perhaps researching and trying to accumulate and access these records. The smaller municipalities, I think that is where the problems are arising. And obviously here in Parkside Borough, we constitute a small municipality.
But I think we're unique among even small municipalities.
We're not special. All right, I will entertain.
Just one question. If we meet on November 9th for the budget, are we gonna have enough time for the passage? Like, should we meet on the 2nd? We'll be okay on the 9th? Okay, I just wanted to double check.
We will be adopting the preliminary budget at the November monthly meeting. I don't know what that date is.
15th.
It's the earliest it can be.
And then hopefully adopting the final budget at the December month.
Okay, just wanted to check.
I also,
we can get it advertised.
How do we want to word it?
I'm sorry?
How do we want to word the advertisement
For what?
for the budget meeting?
The same as the last one.
Okay.
Same time, same place, different date.
I also want to say that we have a council member who has not been in attendance in many, many meetings in a row. And I'm hoping, Mr. Wells, you can advise us at the next meeting how we should handle that.
Mr. Sidlow, the state borough code states that there is no penalty for not attending a meeting once somebody is sworn in.
Are you defending the fact that?
I
we
am
have somebody-
saying that several years ago, we had a member who came to January and February and missed 10 months.
So you're okay with the lack of attendance?
I'm stating the law.
Okay,
And he has, there's a legal issue. Have you approached the gentleman to find out what his legal reasons were to not be here? Or are you
There-
just going to prosecute him without
Well,
getting his point?
Mrs. Percival, I attended every meeting my first 2 years on this council. At most of those meetings, I came up with a new recommendation or a new proposal. You then said in this chamber that because
Are we making political statements or is this?
Can you not interrupt? It'll go a lot faster.
you said
A motion
because,
to adjourn.
because I was kicked off of my committees, that I did nothing, and that Mrs. Guy was kicked off of her committee, and with us earning $1,800 a year times times 2 years,
$7,500.
$7,200 was wasted because we attended every council meeting. And yet you do not seem to be concerned that Mr. Powers has not attended a meeting in many months, and you're not worried about him wasting his
How do you know
money.
what my level of concern is and what my conversations?
Because
you
you
have a
seem,
crystal
because you
ball?
seem to be okay with him not
How
attending
do
the
you
meeting.
know that? Have you asked me privately, am I okay?
Okay?
Are you
So
okay?
what is your public
I
position? What is your
am
public position?
My position is, it's up to the gentleman and his attorney to make a decision as to his attendance. It is not against the law for him not to be here.
Okay, but it's not a very,
Please
it's
check
not,
with the borough code.
but he's not doing a very good job at his job, right?
It's not my position to judge someone else in his shoes.
Well, you've been very judgmental of many people over the years, so I find it fascinating that this is the first time you're not judgmental.
I'm so glad you're fascinated.
Okay, I will entertain a
Motion
motion.
adjourned.
Thank you.
Second,
Second.
favor,
Aye.
we're out of here.
Maybe next.
Um,